All right, welcome back to another edition of the Dirty Verdict Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Peter Taaffe.
I'm full-time litigator Kyle Herbert.
And I'm full-time litigator Bill Ogden.
Amazing guest tonight.
We do have a great guest. Will Adams is with us tonight. Thank you, Will, for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Before we get into because I always forget, if you like us or if you'd like to follow us, you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
And if you want to unfollow us, you can also unfollow us at those same places.
So every week, Fridays typically, Josh will release another episode, and then throughout the week, we'll have Instagram and TikTok little mini stories that you can follow. And
You talking about Navy SEAL Josh?
Navy SEAL Josh, that's right. And also, this is sponsored by Coma Mediation, Herbert Trial Law, Fair and Ball, Chaos Theory.digital, or Strategy Group, and Bill.
Shout out to Fran at Tom James. If you want to dress like Kyle here, that's fine. But if you want to dress like me, call Fran. She gave me this great suit, and if I throw this out there, I get a discount.
Good job, Fran.
So we've got all that knocked out. So,
Hey, Peter, what episode are we up to, by the way?
well, this will be episode 77.
Hope we missed.
And
A number.
That's right. And so that has a special significance here because Will is known in the legal community as Mr. Seven. And Will, what does Seven stand for?
Well, I'm known as a lot of things in the legal community. I'm curious if you've had any guests who are part-time litigators.
Bill.
Yeah, I actually don't work that hard.
Yeah.
The bags of my eyes are just from video games.
And going lower and lower every day.
So the 7 is for the Seventh Amendment. It's obviously TTLA's mission to support, protect the Seventh Amendment. And so I'm the biggest cheerleader, they say.
Seventh Amendment, is that quartering soldiers?
It's something to do with $20.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, though.
That's women voting.
That's the suffrage.
Yeah.
I actually saw a very clever young woman wearing a shirt to the voting booth that said, "End women's suffrage," and she was getting high fives from women. And I was just like, I'm going to leave it alone. And I looked at her and I said, "That's a very clever shirt." And she goes, "I know, but I feel bad about it." And I was like, I get
He
it.
has the right to wear it.
Right.
Why?
The First Amendment.
Yeah, Bill, I was going to say, what's your feeling on the First Amendment since you're now a big-time defamation lawyer?
You know, if you want to toe the line on whether or not you crossed it, I welcome it. I'll be the one on the other side and if you mess up.
Yeah, all right. Well, good. So, of course, the Seventh Amendment is the one that guarantees a jury trial.
The right to trial by jury here.
That's right, which is enshrined in the Constitution, the Seventh Amendment.
In matters in controversy, $20 and above.
Is that what the actual language of the
Yes.
amendment says?
It is. So if you are $19.99 and below, it's all to the judge.
So dollar store cases just purely bench trial on those. All right. And so obviously, in a lot of opinions, it is constantly under attack. Particularly, let's see, last time it was monumentally under attack was what? And it was at 2003 when the Med Mal and some of those things came in. Prior to that, obviously, workers' comp was totally reformed, and that's now no right to jury trial there on comp cases. More recently, I guess there's some concern about maybe not removing the right to trial by jury, but limiting the jury's discretion with the Chauvin-Gregory kind of rationale. So is it a constant just vigilance, particularly with you and the TTLA, to make sure that that Seventh Amendment is protected in the state of Texas?
We are protecting the citizens of Texas from death by 1,000 cuts, which has been happening since the late 80s, I think, is when comp was, which was before my time, maybe a tiny bit after that, but all through the 90s and ever since. If there's a session, there's an attack.
And we've had Todd Clement on who talked at length about what he does at the
Dallas.
Yeah. Only we have a couple recognized. Well, we like Greenberg, right? He's moved here.
Actually,
And I have local counsel in their case. I think you said you like that.
I don't dislike him. I just think it's funny they all lease 3 Series BMWs.
That's true.
That's all.
Okay. That's
I like
fair.
the Affliction T-shirts.
It's just a lot of bedazzling on jeans.
And Max body spray. I don't dislike it.
Well,
No, it smells good.
yeah. Everybody wants to
I
be.
love my Dallas TTLA family.
Yeah. So Todd talked at length about TTLA, and for those who don't know, everything that the members do, particularly a strong group of members as far as going up to the legislature and monitoring committee hearings and bills, and it is a great sacrifice to your personal practice to do that. You've been up there routinely during the legislature and take off a couple weeks?
You mean since I was there for 6 months at a time?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it in your blood. So for sure, I started serving in relation to the legislature in 2011. That's where I dipped my toe into the pool. And for the next several years, it was a further dipping. Then became vice president in 17 and president in 19. Those 2 years, the presidents and vice presidents to do that, and I'll talk about other people and not me, they leave their homes and their practices for most of 6 months every other year. So that should speak to the importance of what we're doing. The mission statement of TTLA is protecting Texas families through good laws, for starters, and good lawyers behind that. That's what we do. We're constantly under attack, and so there's a large group of people, TTLA members, who kind of stand in the front and do their best to protect.
And then you've got staff or people on staff that lobby full time. That's what they do. And then you've got outside paid lobbyists, and then you've got this incredible volunteer group that if they were charging their normal hourly rates would be huge. I assume
they're generous with their time.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
So what is there? I guess you don't know yet because they won't post bills for the 25 session until like December 1st. I think is when.
Sometime in November is when the filing start date is, but you'll see them filed over the months throughout the session. And if you're asking me what I see coming, I could point you to the media where there's talk about the insurance crisis. Insurance premiums are going up.
Have they ever not been in crisis? It's this darn capitalism.
People can't seem to get insurance again, which I think is true. The cause of that, opinions will differ, but the facts are the facts.
What's the other side's position?
So the other side's position is always lawsuit abuse. It's always greedy lawyers. It's always the need for tort reform.
It's fair, though.
For the side,
the greedy part, at least.
It is certainly fair for the other side.
I've seen the same thing. And now that you mention it, you don't happen to see news stories all at once by coincidence. There's usually someone or something behind that. But I have seen quite a few recent stories about insurance premiums going up, insurance companies losing money like never before. The ones I've seen have been, climate change. So maybe that's more climate change kind of focused people. But there's probably some business and insurance groups behind this.
Some might argue that the proponents of the tort reform movement are non-believers in the climate change issue, and so that's not an issue to them.
You mean science? Let's not split hairs.
We had an agreement. You're not going to teach my baby no science.
I mean, well, I guess we did. I'm not talking about science. We burned those books, so we're good.
If you'll remember. Back in 17 and 15 and maybe a little bit in 19, this was the fight. Insurance was the fight. It was homeowners, commercial insurance, lawyers are out of control, and so laws were passed to rein that in. And I'm using air quotes for people who are not watching.
Or hailstorm that in.
There you go. Wow, you are good.
Hey, that's why the big bucks
for a living.
Yeah. That's why the highest paid hosts on the show.
In order.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was supposed to fix it. I expect that they're going to think that it needs to be fixed more.
Well, the changes were on the first party insurance, hail, as Bill was alluding, hailstorm, roof damage, kind of that whole, what we've seen, I guess the fellows, the Houston firm that got in all trouble in Louisiana, those kinds of.
There's a number of attorneys that on the plaintiff side made some poor choices on the hailstorm, and that's why it got shoved down our throats the way it did. They had ammo for it, but punished a lot of people for a very small number of greedy plaintiffs' lawyers.
It only takes one.
Yep.
And we have always been our own worst enemy based on that one or few, and that will always be the case. And there will always be those types, just as there are in every other industry.
It's weird though, because on that same side that pins us for those few or single bad, not the same way against the police. It's crazy. There's few.
What did NWA? No.
So what do y'all? Some type of insurance reform, or you think some attempts at tort reform, additional?
What other reform could they throw at us?
Oh, they're very creative.
Bring it on.
These are not things that we talk about. We don't want to give ideas.
Right.
So
There's Morse code.
Yeah. So you mentioned the staff that we have. James Fields is our Chief Officer of Public Affairs. He runs the show when it comes to the legislative fight. And if I were to say anything that was anything but vague,
We wouldn't be able to be in a duffel bag.
right,
He's been there forever.
I might turn to dust in front of this camera.
You get the old Robert Durst treatment down in Galveston.
Yeah, well, we can guess what might be out there. So, Will, just to pitch to your plaintiff lawyers out there who have not yet joined TTLA or have joined but have been a little passive as far as their participation, what kind of sell can you give them to encourage them to be more involved or to join and then be more involved?
Yeah, and that's an issue that is near and dear to my heart. I was membership VP for 2 years, 15 and 16, traveled the state, talking about TTLA and why lawyers should join. It's different for everybody, and I don't care what your reason is, you should join. But I have changed over the years. I started as a membership guy, and it was a listserv. The resources across the state are incredible, and why would you miss out on that? It's CLE, great educational opportunities, which are really good reasons to join. But as I kind of moved into the legislative side, I realized what our purpose is. It's good laws and good lawyers. If we don't have good laws, it doesn't matter how many good lawyers we have. So our main fight, our main push is the legislative fight. So I like to lead with that when I'm talking to old lawyers, middle-aged lawyers, young lawyers. This is what we do and why you should care. They're trying to take away your ability to protect people, and that's what we do. At least that's what I like to think that we do. Our purpose is to protect people. On top of that, you've got the listserv, you've got CLE, and everything that goes with it. But I've become relatively impatient with plaintiffs' lawyers who don't join, who aren't a part, and who won't at least give their money for the fight because it's so important. So, that's my pitch, but there's no excuse to not be in.
Quick question, and this goes actually to
You're not in, are you?
shockingly not joking. No, I am. What does when we get asked to check that box to donate to the cause, what does it go towards? What is the money spent on?
PAC money is earmarked for the legislative fight. It must go to legislative races.
We should put them there.
Noted.
Because genuinely, when I see it, it's so easy to go, and then you donate your $6.50 to that, and you're like, click off that and go. Not that I do that every time, but I'm just
If it
saying.
doesn't say that, that's a really good point, and it should. But it can go nowhere but to legislative races, and we have a PAC committee that makes decisions on where the money goes.
Okay.
Well, you talk a good talk, and I know that you tell us about your commitment. Well, let me ask you this question. Do you have any tattoos?
I do. Will they show them? Nope.
Come on.
It's his entire bag, Kyle,
This is a visual medium.
So it looks a little like this.
but more dragony.
It's bigger. It's a different color, and it's right here.
You have a giant, for those of you who are listening, not looking, so there is a giant 7 tattooed on his rib cage.
Oh, it is a 7. I thought it was a quarter of a swastika. Oh, my God.
No, that's the side of Justin Bieber's face. But there is a giant 7 tattooed on your rib cage.
This is true.
Did you lose a bet, or did you just think this is it? This is the tattoo I've always wanted.
I like to think I won a bet. When I was first membership VP, and
This really wasn't a bet.
this
Perfect.
was a challenge. So January of 2015, I was a brand new membership vice president, and I was scared shitless about failing. Didn't know what to do. didn't quite know how to handle things. First committee call. There were 80-ish members on my committee across the state, all on a call. And so I issued a challenge. And I said, if we get to 400 members, new members, and 90% retention, I'll get a tattoo, a TTLA tattoo. I thought the numbers were impossible. These were well above what were predicted. Well, we blew through the 400 in October of that year, and right at the last day, it was 90% retention. So I'm a man of my word, I like to think. And by that April, I had a very large 7 on my left rib cage, left, of course.
Did you get it done? Was it here? Was it in Austin?
Or in like prison? Or
It was in Katy, but it's gorgeous.
Katy known for the tattoo.
Katy, Texas, not to be misconstrued with any Katy tattoo artist.
How long did it take?
2 hours.
Wow. Hurt?
Wow, that is a big 7.
It was, I laid on the table and found a spot in the corner and stared at it in a pain euphoria for 2 hours.
Did you find it? Do you have something to bite on? I found that was, I got kind of a large one here, and it's very unpleasant.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I had to disassociate. It's terrible.
Josh, if we get this tattoo photo, can we post it to the?
Josh is a Navy SEAL. He's already got a picture of
He
it.
can do almost anything.
He's seen it.
LA profile pic.
Oh, perfect. That should be easy enough to find.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back in time a little bit.
Well, you want his background?
Yeah, I was going to ask about growing up as a Katy Tiger.
Well, I just want to finish up with a couple of things on TTLA. So just data points. So do y'all know how many, what are the requirements or the parameters to be eligible to even join TTLA?
Well, you can't represent insurance companies. You have to be relatively attractive.
Like us.
Duh.
So it is that. You can't regularly and consistently represent defendants or insurance companies in personal injury lawsuits. It's more detailed than that, but that's about it.
And roughly, do you have a sense of about how many of the bar members located in the state of Texas would be eligible to join your group, and then how many of those are actually in your group?
No clue.
Okay.
No, my guess is that we could do a lot better. It's to no fault of anyone's, but the time and effort it takes to reach everybody. There's 100,000+ lawyers in Texas, so we do our best to find those who are not and reach out to them. But there's a lot of folks that need to be members that are not.
And every year, there's new ones. For a 0 through 5 year lawyer, what is the annual dues?
It's cheap. 0 through 3 is $300.
And that gets you the
$25 a month.
And that gets you the listserv, and then which Todd talked at length about it. Very valuable as far as information sharing.
Todd also asked us all to get on the listserv after this. He gave us a list of topics that he really wants us to just kind of blast out to the group.
It's mostly just politics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sensitive issues.
No.
So the other question is for the... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I text him about once every 3 weeks when something's really getting horrible on the listserv. And not horrible, chippy. And I'll say, hey, man, hey, buddy, how you doing?
How can I help?
We need to start planting seeds.
100%.
There's not just the TTLA listserv, though, but HTLA, DTLA, SATLA, San Antonio. Yep. So this is actually a San Antonio Trial Lawyer Association 7. It's colorful. It's lovely. Mm-hmm. Everybody has their own listserv, and they have their own family problems, and it's
awesome
sight to behold.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's magnificent.
Yeah.
I'm like an and one mixtape referee when it happens. I'm just like, just riling everybody up.
I'm the guy in the corner like this.
Like, oh man, I'm gonna have to stop this in a second.
Magnificent.
Let him get tired first.
Okay, last question on this issue for the non-lawyers who may be watching this, including Bill's mother.
Yeah, Yvette Ogden, she watches every episode.
Yvette.
She actually, Kyle called me dumb on the one she listened to the other day. She was not happy about it.
Yeah.
What did I call you dumb for?
I think you just said I wasn't intelligent. I think is what you said.
Yeah, that's not cool.
That's fair, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Before you ask the last question, that reminds me of something. with the advent of Zoom and Zoom trials and people getting to watch trials, I tried a case against a local lawyer I mentioned to you a few minutes ago.
Dox him.
And, he did what he
normally does.
Yeah.
And, basically called me a slimy piece of shit plaintiff's lawyer, ambulance chaser, fraud. My mom was watching this trial. It was a lovely experience.
Can't wait to hear the name after we have to turn it off.
Yes.
Was it the one that Keira McAlpine
Yes.
speak of?
It's Keira McAlpine's favorite opponent.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so for the non-lawyers at home, can you give your standard kind of argument as to why the Seventh Amendment is so important and why it should be fought, particularly for those who may think other amendments are really important and should be preserved at all costs? Usually that's a group that may not.
You mean shall not be infringed?
Yeah, right. There's a group that doesn't necessarily put the same value in the Seventh Amendment. So why would you say to whatever your political stripe is, the Seventh Amendment is super important because?
Well, I'll answer that question. What's funny is there are a lot of people who don't know what it is, including lawyers. I had a defense lawyer in one of Scott West's trials come up to me and introduce himself and say, "What's the seven?" And I said, it represents the Seventh Amendment. And he said, "Which one is that?"
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me. So, but to answer your question, so is your mom watching which cameras?
Whichever.
It's on you. If you're talking, it's on you, so it'll be that one.
All right. So
Yvette, her name's Yvette.
Yvette, that's not comfortable. What is
Mrs. Ogden.
Mrs. Ogden.
Yeah, Mrs. Ogden.
Mrs. Ogden? So the Seventh Amendment, from my view, is the great equalizer. It brings balance to the community. It allows someone small and helpless and powerless like Kyle go up against a big insurance company, big corporation, multinational, whatever it is. The jury can equalize that, hopefully. That's what plaintiffs' lawyers do, I believe, is they'll stand up and do that. They'll fight against the 10-team defense lawyer squad, and the jury will decide who's right and wrong. That's what's so important about the Seventh Amendment, is it gives you that opportunity. And so that's scary to a lot of big companies, scary to a lot of plaintiffs too, frankly. But that's how I see it. It gives us a chance, a fighting chance. So why wouldn't you want to support that? And to your other point, they're all important, but the Seventh Amendment is the one that protects them all.
Yeah, I always heard this, this country is a rule of law. And that became like a talking point. I don't think anyone really understood. I didn't think through it, but that's really the difference between us and America and any country that's governed by that, which is you can't, like, if you take my sheep, I don't go take yours, and then we have a death battle for like generations. It's like there's 12 people that come down and sort it out. Peter, why did you take Will's sheep? Because he owed me. Okay, well, we get it sorted out, and everyone agrees to abide by the judgment of those 6 or 12.
Those 12 people that could not get out of jury duty.
Unless you're in federal court.
True.
But to your point, that secures all the others that we agree that we're going to do that and not go kill each other or whatever.
Yeah, and we talk about that in jury selection. I mean, that's what civil justice is. It's money justice. Some people don't like that, and that's okay. They can go home and not serve. But those that get it, that's how we do it. Not an eye for an eye, that sort of thing. So, yeah, that's what the Seventh Amendment allows.
Damn it, Will, I'm trying to retire from this profession. Now you got me over here just inspired.
I thought you were going to work at the DA's office.
I'm going to go work for Al Hamdani.
Why is everybody retiring?
We've made so much money that we've bought all the weird cars and stuff that we want, and we're just kind of
my pool is full of gold coins.
Yeah.
Where else am I going to put them?
Do you do anything other than this?
Please.
He's on OnlyFans.
Yeah. When I'm not doing this, I'm an executive producer of an award-winning short film series. I'm the current National Trial Lawyer of the Year for country.
You're a NASCAR?
No, National Trial Lawyer of the Year for Jane. Until June, I still get to be the National Trial.
You got
Lawyer
a trophy, Will.
You got race cars.
No, I build cars. And I got a lot of hobbies. I just got back from a turkey hunt over the weekend in Kansas. That was fun.
Were you with bows or was that I couldn't tell.
No, we were with shotguns.
Got it. I don't know.
Bows, that would be a tough turkey.
Yeah, I was going to say, I never heard of
Turkeys,
it.
whatever you think a turkey is, it's way harder to shoot than that. We came up.
It looked like you were in a bow like kind of position.
I just like the camo and the camaraderie, rubbing shoulders with a bunch of dirty guys.
I just saw a couple eyes.
I got a bunch of hobbies. I made a list of things I want to do once I get out of this profession. I just find it a little too stressful to do until I'm 60. So I don't need a private jet. I got friends with them.
Well, you got 20 hours to go.
Right.
All right, so
24.
So Kyle, do you want to go through your Will Adams? Let's break it down to the core, where he came from.
Well, thanks for that.
Oh, my God.
Outline at TTLA. I've been a member for a long time. Best lawyers I've met, best advice I've gotten. Being a part of that organization has absolutely changed how I practice law. So let me say thank you. I've gotten to work with you a little bit on TTLA stuff. I would like to do more of it. But thanks so much for all your hard work and service to all those good lawyers at TTLA.
Yeah, there's a lot of citizens in this state that have no idea how much you've helped them. I don't know if you know that.
Well, I believe that because most of us, excluding me, don't promote it or talk about it. I tend to talk about it a lot. But I do it because I think it's important to get the message out. But thank you for saying that. I do it because I've watched others do it. Completely serious. I watched so many men and women serve who've taught me why things are important in what we do, and I'm just following in their path. It was terribly difficult. And if my wife would let me, I would do it 10 times over. It was unbelievable. I want to say it was a blast, but that would be sick. It was crazy, but rewarding as hell.
Good.
Yeah.
You hear that, Todd Ogden? He works for the catastrophe unit for State Farm Insurance. He's my father.
All right. Tell us a little bit about your background. You're from Katy, Texas. Katy Tiger, starting linebacker, state championship team.
You're like the Renee Zellweger of TTLA. She's from Katy as well. I looked it up. Yep.
I was deeply in love with Renee Zellweger.
Weren't we all?
Same class?
It was a crush.
Weren't we all?
She was a year above me.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know you kind
What
of.
year did you graduate?
I graduated in 88.
Okay, yeah. So
Did you have a Camaro?
I had a Mustang.
A Mustang guy.
As good as an IROC. I will accept Mustang then.
I had the sweetest Mustang GT that my parents never should have.
What? We a Fox body or
Black with a red stripe.
Fox body? Yeah.
Thin on the
yeah.
the new model. Should not have been in that car.
Did you have Sherwin Vegas in it?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, well.
okay, back to Renee. So she was a year older than you,
She was.
and where'd you go to college?
I need to. This is very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I just want to say that tomorrow is my 25th wedding anniversary.
Renee, there's still time, Renee.
I love you, baby. Where are you?
I've met your love.
Let me help you out. I had a crush on Renee Zellweger during in her Jerry Maguire. She was at Texas the same time I was. I didn't know.
The only person from Katy I've ever been physically attracted to is Clint Black. So,
Okay.
Call me old fashioned.
Me.
Yeah. There's now.
Get a room, you two.
2 for 2. Andy Dalton's next.
Lots of people had crushes on Renee Zellweger back in the day.
Did you ever talk to her?
Of course.
Would you give her the sup? You up? Give her that text.
No.
There was no text back then.
Love note.
We did pass notes in the hallway. It was my favorite time during school was passing period, where you could pass notes. You had about 5 minutes to get it done.
There you go.
I did. I passed notes with Renee Zellweger and was completely crushing on her. Danced with her at a graduation party, and I thought my life was over.
Wow.
Yeah. But like Renee.
This anniversary is getting less and less significant.
Like dancing in the dark or slow dancing?
I've been dancing with my wife since May 15th, 1999, and she's the only woman I will ever dance with.
Again.
Clip that, Joe.
But you did dance Soul Train style with Renee Zellweger, apparently, you're telling us.
No, it was slow dancing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
How did that?
do you have family members that are lawyers?
I do. My oldest brother is my law partner.
Nice.
My dad was a lawyer. My dad passed in 97, but he kind of started the tradition. And it's just the three of us, the lawyers in the family. Everybody else was doctors or engineers.
Well, how long did your dad do?
My dad was a general practitioner. He opened up shop in Katy in 1970. 7-ish.
It was a little smaller back then.
It was tiny. It was about 8,000 people.
Oh, I didn't know it was that small.
Yeah, we grew up on a mile-long dirt road and surrounded by rice fields.
Yep.
All my high school friends were the rice farming families and hardworking. It was really cool community to grow up in.
Do they still farm rice in Katy, or is it just subdivisions now?
I'm not sure there's any rice farming land.
I'm just curious. Yeah.
There might be. I haven't seen it in a long time. It's covered in Amazon warehouses.
Which is what we call
Almost as picturesque.
it's patriotism, is what you're trying to say.
It's lovely. It's business waiting to happen.
Does Bezos ever come say hello?
Not to my office,
No.
but he may have come to the
warehouse.
Are you in the Fort Bend side or the Harris County side?
I'm in the Fort Bend side. I live and work in the Fort Bend side. I'm about a mile from the Harris County side. Yeah.
Okay. So after high school, where'd you go to college?
Started off at Baylor, Sikkim Bears,
No, we're not going to go there.
but I was so I love my Baylor Bears and all my family members who went there and all my friends and
Kyle does too.
wonderful college and law school.
Oh, not better.
I left after my sophomore year and transferred to SMU, finished there,
Oh, I remember this now.
and then SMU Law School.
Why'd you transfer to SMU?
Pony up.
Did your dad buy a couple of car dealerships, so you had to?
A serious answer?
No, lie to me.
Yeah.
Well, better drugs.
Perfect. That's exactly what I was going to say.
And you can drink, but you don't have to be with another Baptist to drink.
And there's dancing.
Yeah, lots of stuff in Dallas. And you're still, that's Methodist, right? I guess.
So tell us the truth, G. Did you flunk out? What happened?
Believe it or not, every hour from Baylor transferred out. SMU, 64 hours. No, I hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so speaking of hating on Waco, Kyle, go ahead. We find time every podcast to hate on Waco and or Baylor. So Kyle, go ahead.
Waco 1988.
Even worse.
Pre-Chip and Joanna. I mean, that
Sounds like present day, just more racist.
Yeah, there's B Magnolia and A Magnolia. So for Waco, so
He was shiplap back then.
yeah, he was there it's a whole different world. There are no silos.
I mean, you missed all the good stuff. You missed the Branch Davidians.
You may have been right.
Star.
All the Dairy Queen managers.
The soccer assault.
Pollo Loco, or what was
You're
that?
probably right there with when the Davidian thing happened, or maybe just left.
No, the Davidians were like in the
This when I was.
Oh, yeah, you were right there.
I'm just 1 year behind Will.
Is that why? That's why he left. That's why he left. He was a Davidian.
Let's get Cogdell out here. Did Cogdell represent you in the Branch Davidian lawsuit?
You British? Is that a fake accent?
Australian.
He's gotten real
Australia.
real fast.
All of a sudden feeling really uncomfortable.
Thwarted again by the boss.
Still hate Janet Reno for that?
Yeah.
So the
Texas politics only fleek.
Yeah.
so you went straight out of SMU undergrad to law school, or did you do anything in between?
No, I made the mistake of going straight in.
Got it. And then afterwards, right back here.
No, again, straight in to private practice with my brother. So I was not the greatest student.
Here. Oh, actually, an okay student.
This, I think, is the second interview that I've ever had in my entire lifetime.
You're doing great so far.
You're nailing it.
Thank you. No, I had one interview in law school. It was the obligatory, you must interview every student, so I got the one. So I got some practice. And my brother, who's wonderful and generous and loves his little brother and it saves him over and over, left his firm and started. He hung a shingle and got it ready, and I came straight out.
He hung his shingle back home in Katy?
In Dallas.
Oh, okay.
We were in Dallas. We were in Dallas for a year and a half before Dad died, and then another year and a half before we closed that office and just moved back down here.
Oh.
So we've been here full time since
97?
99, 2000. Yeah, right after I was married. I love you, baby.
And so it's you and your brother still practice together, same
Still.
firm. Yeah. Wow.
What's his name?
Tad.
And do you guys do the same kind of work?
We do. We work every case up together. We've tried every case but one together since 95.
Is he cooler than you? Because my little brother's cooler than me. I was the older brother. My little one's cooler. I have to admit it at this point.
I think he's the coolest. Just depends on your definition of cool.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
Does he have a 7 tattoo?
He does not.
Okay, he's not less cool.
My point.
Yes.
Depends on your definition of cool.
Yeah.
He does have a tattoo. I think I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah, sure.
Is it of something awesome?
Well, it's awesome because it's on his ankle and it's barbed wire. He's had
Oh, yes. Yes.
he's had that for a long time.
Him and Pam Anderson.
Tad stamp.
Perfect. Golly, we should have you on more often. Ad stamp.
We should have Tad on.
He would love that. Let's call him now.
We should do
FaceTime him, get him in.
Famous Brothers, and we'll have them on. Wilbur and Orville Wright, Joseph and Jose Stalin. I don't know who else.
I think those are both dead.
Oh,
Yeah.
eh.
Okay, so, Will, would you say, are you,
Jeb and George.
just being in Fort Bend, are you in typically cases more in Fort Bend than anywhere else?
No, by volume, I'm Harris County.
Okay.
More and more in Fort Bend. But most everything happens on I-10, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, statistically, I-45 between 610 and the airport is the deadliest stretch of highway in the country. They just came out with it a couple weeks ago.
We're number one.
By the way, there's a top 10, and Houston had 4.
Yeah.
What were the other ones? Like
59 south to
there you go. That
going
goes
to
to
Fort
Fort
Bend. Yeah. 59 north, I-10, and then 45.
The problem is that's where all the billboards are.
On I-10.
Yeah, push and win.
Everywhere that you just said, there's all billboards. I'm not against those. It's just, they're kind of beating me to the punch.
They're there for a reason.
But I'm sure you can comment on the fact that Fort Bend County has grown so much population-wise, and they've actually added courts, which we haven't done in Harris County since, I think, 1996.
Yeah, the difference from a decade ago, it's night and day. It's crazy. It's not only growth in population, but diversity of population.
massive demographic shift in 20 years.
Incredible.
And who do we have to thank for that?
Obama.
I was going to say Don Bankston, but yeah, Obama's there too. He was a pretty big proponent of the Democratic blue swing.
Fort Bend County, Hillary won Fort Bend County.
Yeah,
That was the first year that it kind of flipped.
started flipping, yeah.
But, the courts seem like they move cases a little quicker. I think it's probably because there's more courts. They got ahead of those. But, don't you feel like you can get to trial quicker in Fort Bend County on a civil case than
Then in Harris County? Yeah.
Yeah.
By a year.
Well, I've got a case right now that I'm set for in July in one of our Harris County courts that I filed in January of 2017.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I think and that might be an outlier, might not.
Which court?
Yeah.
Pass. You can guess, though.
It could have gone for appeal or mandamus. Or...
We all know that we've got Harvey dockets and we've got COVID dockets in Harris. We've got the double whammy. So it's difficult, but there's a lot of judges who are doing better than others.
Supreme Court agrees with you. They've sent out a couple of letters.
Yeah.
Well, and the problem with that is, and I know what you're talking about, is different judges are handling that differently, and some of them are dismissing cases much more easily than they used to.
I'm very well aware. I think the trial bar may get slightly creative coming up in some races on primaries.
I would say for TTLA stuff, Harris County hasn't had a new judge, I don't think, since 96, the 334th. And
Really?
That
That was
time, I believe so. A new civil
court, yeah.
And they just added some criminal courts, no civil courts. And since that time, I think the county has grown by like 2 million people.
Well, I think the average go and rave for a judge's docket right now is 2,000.
Yeah. So, I think adding some civil judges would be very helpful for everyone because no one benefits from, plaintiffs or defendants don't benefit from a delay in getting to the jury trial.
Completely agree. I've been hearing, though, that the state doesn't have enough money to fund these kind of things.
I'll fund it.
Justice.
Well, these schools are expensive. We gotta figure out a way not to pay for that first.
Well, we just cut a bunch of that.
Tackle not paying for judges.
But yeah, you could add fees. What is the filing fee?
Fields' head exploding. as we said.
460.
But I'm self-modulating as we go.
Yeah. Walk the line. We do not.
No, I think that we're good so far.
Okay.
Okay, so you, aside from you and your brother, y'all have other lawyers at your firm?
We do. So we have so Tad and I do civil litigation, basically all PI. We've got 3 family lawyers that are dedicated to, child custody, divorce, whatever it might be. One of which is board certified, spend a lot of their time in Fort Bend County, secondarily Harris County.
Who are they? You can throw them out there.
Oh, I can?
Yeah.
So it's Heather Bogman, John Lemos, Morgan Hibner.
Who's Morgan Hibner.
Yeah.
I graduated with her. I
Fantastic.
haven't seen her in forever.
She's wonderful.
Yeah, she's very nice.
Yeah.
And while we're at it, to find them, to contact them, what's the best URL?
AdamsLawFirm.com.
Got it. Okay, and that's for you.
Alf.
It is. What we were talking about before we started this is we've separated the firm names. The firm is one, but they are the Adams Law Firm. We're the Will Adams Law Firm. That isn't ego, it's marketing. So AdamsLawFirm.com is for the family law side. We also have a probate lawyer on that side. So, yeah.
Do you ever jump in?
No.
Good. I wouldn't either. It terrifies me.
I don't want to hear anything about it. It's terribly sad, but it happens, and I believe that folks need good lawyers who can do it the right way. You hear terrible things about divorce lawyers, and maybe they're the outliers, but I like to think our lawyers do it the right way, and they're busy. They're busy.
One thing I've noticed too, I've noticed this kind of change. It seems like plaintiff lawyers in particular, it's very different. It's defense firms. You've got 100 lawyer firm, and you only work on cases in your firm. Whereas a lot of plaintiff lawyers, I know you do this. Most of the time, you will joint venture, or a lot of times you'll joint venture a case with another firm, a friend of yours. It's a different firm. Yeah. You may like them a lot, but it's like, hey, I don't need a partner. Do you enjoy that part of it, joint venturing with your friends that may not be in the same firm?
100%. It gives variety, but you learn so much from other lawyers. And on the bigger cases, if you're not a united front pushing forward on multiple fronts, you might get swallowed up. So I like joint venturing. It's impossible sometimes to handle a case unless you have done that.
Yeah.
I'm just getting used to it. I didn't love it at first because you do lose a bit of your control overall.
Yeah.
But I just found myself in these big industrial kind of mass torts. So learned well. I'm still a team player. That's, my background, but it was a tough transition at first for sure.
It teaches you to be a team player.
And patience. And there are such things as dumb questions. Most of which come from me.
True.
I can tell by everybody's face when I ask them.
Okay, so we were talking about some of the accolades your firm's had. One at the top is a $40.5 million, I think, settlement.
Dang.
Was that right on the number?
Yeah, but an example of the importance of having more than one firm working together. This wasn't a me thing. This was a case that I actually was brought into to help and got to take a ton of the depositions. And we got to, about an hour before jury selection, before that case settled.
Who'd you join up with?
Mike Simpson is a lawyer up in North Texas.
Okay.
His son-in-law, Andrew Teagle.
Yeah, I can know him.
His wife does the...
Michelle Simpson-Teagle does a lot of
sexual assault cases.
She's Mike's daughter. So they brought me in. They filed it in Fort Bend County. And we got about 3 months before trial, and for strategic reasons, I recommended to the team that we bring in another lawyer named Scott West.
They'll love Scott. Guy, he can dress so well. He is. We walked off the set of Yellowstone at any given moment and any day.
There is nothing wrong with that man. Not even one thing.
No, he's great. All around.
And his office is pretty cool. Right there on top.
Oh, it's really,
I don't know.
Built that whole building.
His office, yeah.
So I watched some of the trial that him and Itkin did against teams in Fort Bend and let him up for like 200 and something million.
225.
Yeah.
That happened 3 months before we settled ours. Same county, same court.
That helped.
That helped. This is the rising tide lifts all boats thing, and why plaintiffs' lawyers stick together, share information, help each other.
Cheer on big verdicts, even if they're not yours. I love it.
That verdict, God bless them, and I hope they get paid on it, helped us settle ours, without question.
And people on the other side would say $40 million, that hit the lottery. But tell everyone about that case and how $40 million.
Yeah, settling for 40 is, you got to have some horrific damage.
I was going to say, I'm using the term lottery, with finger quotes.
Yeah, Jesus, Pete.
Sorry.
It was terrible. It was a burn, eventual death case. The defendant vehicle hit our client, who was driving an 18-wheeler, right in the gas tank, right underneath his seat. Obviously.
Exposed or inside?
The gas tank?
Yeah, saddlebags or inside your diesel tanks on your truck?
Yeah, it was saddlebags.
Okay, that's tough.
Yeah, and actually something that we looked into was that
the product side, yeah.
Yeah, and we're told it was a 70 mile an hour.
Oh, yeah, it wouldn't have mattered.
So this F-150 hit the 18-wheeler so hard it flipped the 18-wheeler on its side.
It was a T-bone?
It was.
In an F-150 flipped an 18-wheeler tractor?
We already talked about Fords last week.
Yeah, that was an F-550.
Yeah.
This is an F1. This is what I drive. That's a...
Just terrible. So the guy gets out and catches on fire. He's on fire, tries to stop, drop, and roll, and does so in the gasoline that's on the ground.
Oh.
So he is terribly burned. This is in North Texas. Life flight at Amarillo or Lubbock, I apologize. And it's 11 hours that he's alive. So, yeah, these cases are terrible. These are the kind of cases that I won't look at the pictures unless absolutely required to.
Yeah.
And I was. And it was terrible.
That's tough.
Yeah. And the what he experienced over that time, there is no amount of money. Zero.
What was the striking driver? I'm assuming his F-150 was a commercial vehicle or...
Yeah, so this was the whole case hinged on course and scope. And they were driving back from a job site in Hobbs, New Mexico to the man camp in Odessa. And it was, the whole thing was, is it course and scope or not? So it was a summary judgment case, which obviously we got passed. Well, this helps when you...
Who was your judge?
You can guess. I don't know.
No, it's Forbid.
Yeah, I was going to say Shoemake.
Oh.
Just I was guessing from a couple years back.
So it was O'Neill Williams was the trial judge.
Yeah.
So the defendant hires an expert to speak on company policy and procedure and that sort of thing. I just happened to ask him about a couple of words in his report that had him admit that he believed that the driver was in course and scope.
It's some tough facts.
At the end of that position, I says, everybody done? Done. I just wanted to say on the record, the plaintiff cross-designates this expert for sure as their own. At the MSJ hearing, the defendant filed a motion to exclude their own expert's opinion. And Judge Williams, wise as he is, says, I'm sorry. Are you asking me to strike your own expert's opinion?
You're asking me to ruin your expert's career?
I've never heard of that before.
So
I've seen it once. I mean, when you get an expert to go completely sideways like that, you're like, yeah, absolutely. I want that person to testify.
Well, I've heard of people doing designating, but I've never heard of a defendant trying to exclude their own expert.
Well, because if you cross, usually you don't cross on the record in real time.
They get them done.
So they go back, they talk about it, and then they de-designate before the transcript comes out before you can actually file a motion on paper.
Got it.
So that was the genius in that move.
it was a lot of fun.
And so,
Are you allowed to tell us who defended that case?
I'd rather not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I get a
Sound like a nice guy.
my defense counsel, and I think that's an important thing to do. I don't want to ruin those kind of relationships.
Who's your least favorite defense counsel?
Yep. I mean, sometimes a defense lawyer, I mean, this is the great difference between our side of the job. We get to pick our clients. Sometimes I've known really great defense lawyers who get this pile dumped in their lap, and they got it, you know what I mean? Even the greatest lawyer in the world, all they can really do is mitigate the nightmare.
Some who have been on this show, right, Kyle?
Sometimes that happens. See you Thursday.
In that case, it was mitigating the nightmare by a course and scope argument.
Okay.
It was either a $50,000 case or it was a $50 million case.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure the defense lawyer didn't relish the idea of being adverse to a family that had lost, someone that died that way. No one, I can't imagine anyone would.
Oh, I got a couple. I do. Yeah, for sure.
Well, it didn't sound like your adversary in that case.
No,
probably was like that.
Not at all. Not at all. They were kind, except for the course and scope argument, and the appellate lawyers were just nasty. But
yeah, okay. Well,
what was the appeal? I thought y'all said
the course and scope.
Oh, the briefing side. Okay, yeah, I got you.
Did they take something up, or they just they were preparing the brief because they knew it was going up?
they were threatening it.
Yeah.
Up until they paid $40.5 million.
That was the last offer before $40.5 million.
$250.
No. They'd gotten to 10.
Oh wow! So you turned out some significant money.
Yeah, they'd gotten to 10.
Yo, but y'all had been past the MSJ.
No.
Whoa!
When they offered the 10, we were not past MSJ.
Get the wheelbarrow for those good bad boys.
Yeah, and so they were at 10
And back them up.
4 days before trial, if I'm remembering right.
That is that's a flex. That's a flex. If I'm defense counsel, that makes me very nervous.
So another benefit of getting a team together, so you can kind of talk this all through and not be the only one flexing. So it helps.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and Scott's so good that Scott's like, nah, way more. way more, brother.
I got this.
Don't worry. Really? More. How much are they offering? More.
Any other? It doesn't have to be a $40.5 million settlement, but any kind of cases that stick out to you where you're like, because I know you're in this line of work and on your side because you believe in representing people that need to be represented. So I'm sure there's got to be some that have stuck out to you. Like, I really made a difference in this person's life that was unique.
Completely. Yeah, it was a 2016 trial. So it was a 29-year-old woman who is leaving her job at, I think it's Sharky's. It's a kids' hair cutting place. And they're in like H-E-B's. And she's leaving. She crosses the crosswalk going to her car, and she gets hit by an elderly woman and an F-250 and is run over. Fractures her pelvis, all kind of stuff. So over the course of litigation, they surveil her. They videoed my client after she's got balls holding her pelvis together, and she goes back to work 6 months later. So fast forward, we try the case in front of Judge Baker.
Susan?
Caroline?
She's a judge.
Yeah.
And they are just mean. My demand at one point was in the $4 million-ish, and they were $600,000.
This old lady, how much money?
Well, yeah, so that's a good question. As it turns out, she has family with money in California that has a trust that has an umbrella to the whole family. It was a $4 million umbrella. She had $300,000 in coverage. The first lawyer on the file was an advertising firm up in Dallas who didn't treat the client well. So anyway, that's how she landed with me. We're at trial, and my demand's up here, they're way down here, and they start just kind of inching up, and there's a time when I'm in the hotel room, and I get an email from the adjuster saying, what's your demand? And so I tell him. So I'll take $2,777,777 and
all 7
cents. And that's it. And either he legitimately spun off or, fabricated this disdain for me. And he said, obviously, you're not taking this seriously. I'm totally and completely serious. He said that the offer is, it was 1.1 at that time. He says now 1. When the jury starts to deliberate, it will be 0. And I said, you should make it 0 right now. which he did. And
That makes it easy.
yes, so it does actually, yeah. The jury awarded 3.1, which was nice because I had valued it pretty close.
And you get interest.
And interest. Defense lawyer comes up afterwards. He says, "I didn't see that coming." And he's nice enough. I saw it coming. So to answer your question, all that is to say, so it takes 6 weeks to convince my client to put some of this into a structure. Please put this into a structure, which she does. With the other, she bought the Sharkies franchise.
That's great.
That she was working at and still owns it to this day.
Nice.
So she used that money to buy that. Now she has her own home. She was living in a home with her parents with 4 other siblings at the time. That will keep me unretired until I die.
You're a job creator. I don't know if you knew that.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I think the adjuster probably regretted getting in an email battle with you because I think he would probably win most of those battles.
I am
No matter who.
90% certain that he started handling property damage only claims after that, and that's not a joke.
Mm-hmm.
But he was nasty.
Well, good. Those are the kind of stories we like to hear.
Sure. Well, a quick question. What is your most proudest moment of yourself in this career?
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Of your what career?
Of his career?
Oh,
I don't get proud of me.
Proud of us. Proud of the royal we. Proud of your efforts as a team.
Yeah.
In
It's the biggest difference you've made.
in my work or with TTLA or either.
Either one. You're the only one with the answers.
So work is compensated. I didn't handle that case I just told you about for free.
You don't do pro bono?
Well, not on that level.
not intentionally.
No.
It's those cases that allowed me to
Right.
leave for 6 months, for 2 years. I think that kind of taking that step, my wife finally forgave me for not involving her in that decision.
I thought you meant the Renee Zellweger thing.
No, she's just now learning about that. So we'll have to talk about that after tomorrow.
Renee, if you're out there, we're looking for sponsors for the show.
I think that. I mean, I think it's been a decade plus of service to TTLA and its mission, which I think I'm most proud of, if I can use that word.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap up. I think we've gone about an hour or so. So let's wrap this one up. Thank you very much for joining us, Will.
It's been a pleasure.
Again, if you want to follow us, like us, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, Apple, anywhere else you get your podcasts. I don't know where
Nailed
people
it.
get
Yeah, he's getting to be a pro.
Yeah, and
Only your 77th show.
yes, 77th show
Yeah.
for a reason. All right, thank you, Will.
One other. You can call Fran or you can dress like Peter Pan. And that rhymes. We should make that. I didn't even. You came out.
This is custom. This isn't just off the rack.
It looks French. It
cost.
looks French.
I think the answer is yes.
It looks French.
All right, we'll call it a night. Thank you very much.